The shift toward abundance doesn't begin with visible change. It begins with a silent rearrangement inside the human spirit. There is a moment, often unnoticed, when the noise of lack starts to dissolve into a quieter awareness of possibility. It's not dramatic, it's subtle, almost imperceptible, like dawn revealing light before the sun appears. This is the beginning of what many call turning the key to abundance. It's not about external wealth first, but about a vibrational decision, the moment when your energy stops fighting life and begins to cooperate with it. At first, this transformation may feel like confusion. People often describe a sense of losing control, of not recognizing themselves. What's truly happening is that the identity built around scarcity is falling apart. The brain, conditioned by years of survival thinking, resists this new frequency. According to Joe Dispenza, the body has become addicted to emotions of fear, stress, and limitation. When we begin to feel gratitude or calm for no reason, the body protests, believing it's unsafe. This inner rebellion is a sign of awakening, not failure. It's proof that you're stepping beyond the known chemical patterns that once defined your sense of self. There's also a spiritual recalibration underway. Imagine that the universe is an ocean and your energy is a wave within it. When you stop thrashing in resistance, you realize the current has always carried you. The more you release control, the more synchronized your experience becomes. Small coincidences, meeting someone unexpectedly, seeing repeating numbers, hearing the right message at the right time, are the universe's way of whispering, "You're aligned." The human mind tends to dismiss these signs as randomness, but the awakened heart recognizes them as conversation. Napoleon Hill once wrote that the most powerful force behind achievement is faith mixed with emotion. He wasn't referring to religious belief, but to a mental and emotional certainty so coherent that it bends reality. When you begin to live as if your desire is already fulfilled, not pretending but truly feeling it, you're sending a clear electromagnetic signal to the field of possibilities. The universe doesn't respond to language, it responds to vibration. And vibration is the emotional tone of your thoughts. This is why gratitude is the foundation of abundance. Gratitude is not a reaction to what you have. It is the creative force that draws more to you. The moment you begin to feel grateful for the unseen, you're demonstrating trust in the unseen laws. It's as though you're telling the universe, "I already know it's mine." That certainty opens pathways that logic could never construct. Turning the key to abundance means learning to dwell in that invisible space between what you want and what has not yet appeared, without collapsing into doubt. It is standing at the doorway of potential with calm anticipation, knowing the universe is not testing you but preparing you. The process is less about gaining and more about remembering that you were never separate from the source that provides. This inner transition cannot be forced, only allowed. It's a gradual unwinding of the tension that once kept you in survival mode. As you practice awareness, meditation, and self-observation, your nervous system begins to rewire. The mind becomes less reactive, the heart becomes more receptive. You start to notice beauty in places you once overlooked, and that's how you know the shift has begun, because abundance always starts with perception. When the eyes of the spirit open, everything you once called ordinary begins to shimmer with purpose. You are not waiting for abundance. Abundance is waiting for you to stop waiting. It stands quietly behind your surrender, ready to flood into every area of your life the moment you align with its rhythm. In that silence, between the breath and the next thought, the universe begins to conspire, not against you but through you. And in that realization, the journey toward true prosperity finally begins. The first signs of transformation often appear in the most unassuming moments. It might happen while you are walking home, feeling strangely detached from the thoughts that used to dominate your mind. You realize that the familiar anxiety about money, the need for control, or the weight of comparison has softened. The world hasn't changed, yet something within you has loosened its grip. This quiet shift marks the beginning of energetic congruence, the state in which your inner vibration and your outer actions finally begin to align. At the core of abundance lies coherence. It is the invisible rhythm that unites intention with emotion, thought with matter. Joe Dispenza explains that the heart emits an electromagnetic field far stronger than the brain, and when thought and feeling move in harmony, they broadcast a coherent frequency into the quantum field. This coherence is not just an abstract idea. It's the language through which your energy communicates with creation itself. When your thoughts say, "I want abundance," but your emotions whisper, "I don't deserve it," the signals cancel each other out. Coherence occurs when both speak the same sentence, "I am already complete." Coherence, however, does not begin with perfection. It begins with awareness. You start to notice the subtle ways you have been living in opposition to yourself. The tension between wanting peace but feeding chaos, between craving freedom but clinging to control. These contradictions generate a field of interference that the universe reads as confusion. Incoherence repels alignment not out of punishment, but because the signal simply lacks clarity. The moment you begin to reconcile these internal contradictions, even slightly, life starts responding differently. The process of coherence can feel paradoxical. At first, it asks for stillness, not action. Many people try to fix their outer circumstances before they have settled their inner frequency, like tuning an instrument while playing over noise. Real coherence requires listening to your heartbeat, to your breath, to the subtle sensations that arise when you stop resisting what is. When the mind quiets, a delicate equilibrium begins to form. The body relaxes, the breath slows, and a wave of calm rises from within. This is not a fleeting emotion. It is your natural state, finally unmasked. From this equilibrium, new behavior emerges effortlessly. You begin making choices that reflect your worth rather than your fear. You no longer chase opportunities. They arrive in resonance with your new frequency. The conversations you attract deepen. The timing of events becomes almost orchestral. Coherence has a magnetic quality. It doesn't force outcomes, it invites them. The universe listens because you are speaking in its native tongue. Emotional congruence. Many confuse positive thinking with coherence, but they are worlds apart. Positive thinking can exist even when your energy is in turmoil. It's mental decoration on emotional chaos. Coherence, on the other hand, is authenticity in motion. It's when you can look at the parts of yourself that still doubt, still ache, and still choose compassion instead of criticism. When the inner dialogue softens, the signal you emit becomes pure, unfragmented, and strong enough to alter the fabric of your experience. Coherence also dismantles the illusion of time. When you are truly aligned, you stop measuring progress by results and start sensing it through states of being. The present moment becomes enough because it vibrates with wholeness. That is why synchronicities multiply. You are no longer operating from delay but from immediacy. The universe is instantaneous. It responds in kind to the energy you hold now, not to the plans you make for later. Still, the human tendency to control remains a challenge. The urge to measure, to predict, to demand evidence can pull you out of alignment faster than any external obstacle. The mind, conditioned to seek certainty, fears the void that coherence demands. But the void is sacred. It is the field where potential forms. Every time you resist the need to rush, you affirm trust in that field. You affirm that the universe is intelligent enough to fill the space you have cleared. Gradually, coherence becomes not a practice but a personality. You stop needing reminders to meditate or affirm. Gratitude becomes a reflex, not a ritual. Peace feels more natural than stress. The frequency of your being settles into harmony with life itself, and from that harmony, manifestation ceases to be effortful. It becomes inevitable. The abundance that once seemed distant now surrounds you, not as possessions, but as a presence. And so, the secret to manifesting abundance is not about doing more, but about being whole. Coherence is not achieved through struggle, it's remembered through surrender. The heart already knows the rhythm. It's the mind that must relearn how to listen. When that harmony is restored, the field of possibilities begins to move around you, through you, and for you. In that silent union between thought and feeling, the universe finally answers, not in words but in reflection. The collapse of the old self is rarely gentle. It begins quietly, often disguised as fatigue or disinterest in the things that once defined you. You may find that certain conversations drain your energy, that environments you used to tolerate suddenly feel heavy. This isn't regression, it's the shedding of a frequency that no longer matches who you are becoming. Every belief, habit, and emotional reflex built around scarcity begins to dissolve, not through force, but through irrelevance. The identity that once found safety in limitation can no longer survive in an atmosphere of growth. It crumbles because it must. Carl Jung described this process as an encounter with the shadow, the moment when what was repressed demands to be seen. For those stepping into abundance, the shadow often carries the fear of not deserving, of being punished for success, or of losing love once prosperity arrives. These fears are not random. They are inherited emotional codes, absorbed from generations that equated survival with humility and wealth with danger. To turn the key to abundance, these codes must be rewritten. But rewriting does not mean rejection. It means meeting them with understanding. It is the moment you say to your fear, "You can come with me, but you can't drive anymore." Neuroscience mirrors this transformation on a physical level. The brain, accustomed to running the same circuits of worry and resistance, begins to rewire when you choose new responses. Each time you feel gratitude instead of panic, you're weakening the neural pathways of scarcity and strengthening those of trust. Over time, the brain's chemistry shifts from adrenaline and cortisol to dopamine and serotonin, creating a biological environment for abundance to flourish. The old identity isn't destroyed, it is restructured, like a river carving a new course. But this evolution has its quiet tests. There are days when nothing seems to move, when the gap between where you are and where you wish to be feels endless. These pauses are not punishment, they are incubation. The energy of your new self needs space to stabilize before it can manifest physically. The universe is not denying your request. It is calibrating its response to the new coordinates of your being. This is the space where trust is refined into knowing. If you can rest in that silence without reverting to fear, you have already crossed the threshold. The collapse also brings clarity. As old patterns fall away, what remains is a profound honesty. You begin to see the subtle ways you once bargained with life, seeking approval, overgiving, tolerating less than you deserved. Those compromises lose their magnetism. Instead, integrity becomes your new currency. Every decision is measured by energetic alignment rather than external validation. You stop chasing opportunities and begin recognizing invitations. The universe does not reward effort, it mirrors authenticity. The more you honor your truth, the more reality rearranges itself to accommodate it. In this new state, abundance ceases to be a distant goal and becomes a reflection of self-worth. It manifests not only as financial prosperity, but as emotional freedom, healthy relationships, and creative expression. You realize that money, time, and opportunities are not scarce resources but mirrors of your internal order. The outer world cannot give what the inner world resists. When you finally believe you are safe to receive, the channels of life open naturally. Imagine your old identity as a house built on the edge of a cliff. The view was once comforting, but the foundation was unstable. Every fear of failure, every inherited limitation was a crack in its structure. When the storm of transformation arrives, the walls tremble. It feels like destruction, but it is liberation. The new self cannot emerge in the old architecture. The debris becomes sacred. It's the evidence that you were brave enough to rebuild. As you stand among the fragments, something remarkable happens. You no longer crave certainty. You begin to enjoy the mystery of creation itself. The collapse of identity gives birth to a subtler awareness that abundance was never something to achieve, but something to remember. The energy that created worlds flows through you, and you realize it always did. You were never meant to chase abundance. You were meant to embody it. When that understanding settles into your nervous system, the universe no longer needs to test you. It begins to reflect you. The universe has its own dialect, one that speaks through timing, repetition, and coincidence. When your vibration begins to stabilize, reality itself starts to echo back to you. You notice it first in subtle patterns, perhaps a song lyric that repeats the thought you had an hour ago, or a stranger who casually mentions the very idea you've been contemplating for days. To the logical mind, these moments seem random, but to the attuned consciousness, they are confirmations. They are the universe's way of saying, "You are in rhythm with me." This communication is not mystical in the sense of fantasy. It is the natural feedback of a coherent energy field. Greg Braden describes the universe as a living matrix, responsive to the emotional signals we emit. When you are aligned, your life becomes a dialogue rather than a monologue. Every experience begins to reflect the state of your internal landscape. You see abundance not only in outcomes, but in the orchestration of moments themselves. The right call arrives just when you are ready to receive it. The right opportunity reveals itself when your heart has released desperation. The symmetry between inner readiness and outer manifestation becomes undeniable. But this stage of awakening also invites discernment. The same mind that once ignored signs can also overinterpret them, twisting neutrality into meaning. True alignment carries calm recognition, not obsession. You do not chase for messages in every feather or number sequence. Instead, you sense the quiet certainty that all is unfolding in perfect timing. The universe doesn't demand decoding, it invites trust. The more peace you feel in uncertainty, the louder its guidance becomes. There is a sacred rhythm in every expansion. Abundance never arrives through chaos, it flows through order disguised as coincidence. Each synchronicity is like a brushstroke on a larger canvas that only reveals itself when viewed from a distance. You are not meant to control this painting, but to become part of its texture, to allow the divine intelligence within the field to shape form through your participation. When you cease forcing outcomes, the invisible orchestration of the universe becomes visible. You move from manipulating life to harmonizing with it. Skeptics might call these alignments mere psychological bias, a human tendency to find patterns where none exist. Yet psychology and spirituality are not adversaries. They are partners describing the same phenomenon through different languages. The subconscious mind filters billions of stimuli every second, but it highlights what matches your dominant vibration. So whether you call it divine communication or cognitive resonance, the effect is identical. What you feel most deeply, you encounter most frequently. The difference lies not in mechanics, but in meaning. The awakened mind recognizes this mechanism as sacred, not random. As your awareness matures, you begin to view every delay and detour as an intelligent correction rather than a setback. The flight you missed was not misfortune, it was alignment. The silence after a prayer was not rejection, it was gestation. The universe operates through precision, not punishment. Every unanswered desire is simply a desire still in transit, finding the proper energetic address before delivery. To live in trust is to stop tracking the package and start preparing the space to receive it. The language of the universe is subtle because it respects your free will. It will never shout over your noise. It will only mirror your frequency. If your energy vibrates with urgency, you will meet more urgency. If it hums with calm expectation, you will meet opportunities that reflect calm timing. Reality is not something that happens to you, it's something that harmonizes with you. This realization is both humbling and empowering because it places responsibility and divinity in the same hands, yours. Over time, your sensitivity to alignment becomes second nature. You can feel when you are in tune with the flow and when you are out of sync. The body itself becomes an instrument of guidance. Tension signals resistance, while peace indicates alignment. Intuition grows not as a mystical gift, but as a refined sensory perception, an internal compass tuned to the field of creation. The universe does not hide from you, it waits for you to slow down enough to hear it. The deeper this understanding sinks in, the less you chase, and the more you notice. The distinction is crucial. Chasing operates from absence, noticing operates from presence. The one who notices knows that abundance already surrounds them, waiting for recognition. The signs, the opportunities, the people, all are there, vibrating in proximity, awaiting your alignment. It is not about summoning what you lack, but perceiving what is already within reach. When perception shifts, reality follows, and the universe's whispers grow into a symphony of affirmation. In that harmony, manifestation becomes effortless not because life suddenly favors you, but because you finally speak its language. The conversation that once felt one-sided becomes a continuous exchange of energy, an elegant dance between the seen and the unseen. You realize that the universe was never withholding. It was always responding, always listening, always reflecting. The abundance you sought was never missing. It was merely waiting for you to understand how to hear its reply. The culmination of this transformation arrives when you no longer perceive yourself as separate from the flow of life. It begins as a quiet awareness, an understanding that everything you once sought was never beyond reach, only beyond recognition. Abundance, you realize, is not something granted to the fortunate, but awakened in the conscious. When the key finally turns, It does not open a door to something new. It opens your eyes to what has always been present. Neville Goddard wrote that creation is finished. What we call manifestation is merely the conscious selection of a possibility that already exists. This truth dissolves the illusion of striving. The universe is not withholding. It is waiting for coherence between thought, feeling, and belief. When those three align, the unseen collapses into the seen as naturally as light casting shadow. The shift into abundance is not about summoning resources, but about matching the vibration of completion. It is the end of asking and the beginning of being. At this stage, effort transforms into ease. The human tendency to chase outcomes fades because the inner state no longer depends on evidence. You act not from desperation, but from devotion. Action becomes an expression of faith, not a negotiation with uncertainty. Each step forward feels guided rather than forced. This surrender is not passive. It is the most dynamic state a human can inhabit. You participate in creation with the humility of knowing that your will and the will of the universe are not in opposition, but in unison. Joe Dispenza explains that when you maintain an elevated emotion and a clear intention long enough, your body begins to believe it is already living the future. The chemistry of anticipation turns into the chemistry of fulfillment. This physiological transformation mirrors a spiritual truth, that the body, when trained through repetition and gratitude, becomes the living proof of faith. You no longer visualize abundance as something to come. You embody it, and life responds accordingly. This is the alchemy of alignment, where thought becomes substance and energy becomes evidence. The greatest paradox of this journey is that the closer you come to abundance, the less you need it to define you. The external manifestations, money, opportunities, recognition, become reflections, not sources. The joy that once depended on results now radiates from within, steady and independent. This detachment does not mean indifference. It means freedom. You appreciate wealth, relationships, and success, not because they complete you, but because they echo your wholeness. You move through life as a contributor, not a collector, knowing that giving and receiving are two movements of the same breath. In this space of realization, time itself softens. You no longer live in anticipation, but in immediacy. The present moment expands, rich with possibility. The past loses its authority, and the future becomes a mirror of your current vibration. Every thought, word, and emotion becomes a brushstroke shaping the masterpiece of your experience. You begin to understand that the universe was never a distant power. It was the consciousness moving through you all along. The divine does not intervene, it collaborates. The final sign that the universe has begun to conspire in your favor is peace. Not the fragile peace that depends on quiet circumstances, but the deep stillness that remains even when life moves around you. It is a serenity born of knowing that you are both the creator and the creation. Challenges may still appear, but they no longer define your state. You see them as invitations for expansion, as reminders that growth and grace are inseparable. When this understanding settles fully, abundance ceases to be a goal and becomes an atmosphere. It surrounds you in the ordinary, the morning light, the sound of laughter, the effortless flow of events. The key has turned, the door is open, and what you once called manifestation now feels like remembrance. You realize that the universe was never testing your faith, it was teaching you to see. And in that moment of clarity, you and the universe are indistinguishable, a single field of consciousness, endlessly creating, endlessly abundant. When the journey comes to an end, it feels less like arriving somewhere and more like remembering who you truly are. The path to abundance is not a straight line, but a spiral, each turn bringing you closer to the essence you had forgotten, that you are both the observer and the creator, the question and the answer. What once felt like struggle now reveals itself as refinement. Every challenge was an initiation, every delay a sacred pause, every disappointment a teacher disguised as loss. In this awareness, there are no mistakes, only mirrors reflecting your evolution. Abundance, in its purest form, is a vibration of unity. It is the recognition that the universe was never outside of you, waiting to reward or punish, but always within, waiting to be remembered. You start to see that every breath is an act of receiving, every heartbeat a confirmation of life's generosity. You realize that wealth is not measured by possession, but by perception, the ability to witness beauty in everything. to give freely without fear of depletion, to stand in gratitude even when outcomes are uncertain. This state of consciousness is not fleeting. It becomes your baseline, your natural frequency. When you live in this awareness, manifestation stops being a pursuit and becomes a pulse. You are no longer chasing abundance, you are channeling it. You trust the unseen orchestration of existence, and in return the universe reveals its symmetry, aligning people, moments and opportunities with perfect precision. The door to abundance does not close once it opens. It expands infinitely. You are not the person you were when this journey began. You are the proof that alignment transforms reality. The universe does not conspire for a select few. It conspires for everyone willing to remember their own creative power. Now let this awareness settle into your being. If everything you desire already exists within the field of infinite potential, what version of yourself will you choose to embody next? If this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and allow yourself to continue expanding. Stay connected because the next video on your screen is not just content, it's a continuation of your awakening. Keep watching, keep aligning, and let the universe remind you that abundance was never something to find. It was always who you are.